Hello everyone. As I mentioned, I'm leveling the USN cruiser line on the American server. So having gone through the Pensacola, I have now unlocked the New Orleans. And in this clip I don't have the range mod yet, but I do have the hull upgrade and I do have the upgraded guns. Both the hull upgrade is of course quite nice since it gives you a nice amount of chunks, a nice chunk of HP, some AA, some rudder shift, the usual stuff a hull gives. And the guns are of course very important because they lower your reload from 13 seconds to 12, which is very much welcome. Now you might notice how extremely quickly I'm switching ammo type here. That's of course because I'm using Steven Seagal, the special captain that I recommended ever since it was released for US cruisers. The ability, you can see I switch from AP to HE in basically 3 seconds. Steven Seagal has this special perk that you can switch. Expert Loader gives you a 75% buff, and this is of course extremely useful on American cruisers that usually struggle with fairly long reloads, and usually you really want to be using the AP in the right position. I pushed close to this Fubuki smoke since there was a DD here, and I used the radar to see if I could maybe scout out something, and I do in fact catch a Leander. Steven Seagal coming in handy here since I'm switching to AP, and once again you can see just how useful this perk is on this guy. Even if you don't have Steven Seagal, Expert Loader is pretty damn good on on USN cruisers in general. Popping defensive AA to deal with these incoming planes. Unfortunately, I get 6 overpens on this Leander, which is a bit annoying. Defensive AA is of course pretty damn good on this ship. I'm running the module that increases defensive AA duration, which is why it lasts as long as you see. And that's because you can't run the radar duration on a tier 8 yet, otherwise I would run radar duration. But defensive AA is also very useful indeed. Is that enough lead? I don't think it was quite enough lead. The volley was okay. I got a Citadel and overpens again, but I think I'm not leading enough. And that's something I notice whenever I haven't played American cruisers in a while. Switching back to them, I tend to underlead a fair amount. And that's because the shells are fairly slow and it takes some getting used to them. Now, 4 people targeting me, and it looks like I'm about to get a fair amount of focus, so I use one of the greatest strengths of the New Orleans, and that is of course the excellent concealment. I of course recommend going concealment expert first on these ships. As soon as you've gotten, I think fire chance I recommend as the 3rd perk. As soon as you've gotten that, you go concealment expert, and with the concealment module you are very stealthy. You have a 9.1 km concealment, and as you can see I have no issues disengaging from this dangerous situation and repositioning myself and turning my guns into a more favorable engagement for me. In general though, if you find yourself being targeted by many ships, well, not in any cruiser really, but especially in the New Orleans, you want to disengage because these ships are squishy. American cruisers are overall very squishy. They don't really have too much armor, and they tend to get overmatched from various angles and on various parts of their armor, so you kind of want to avoid trying to tank. You just want to avoid hits in general. I'm starting to get a bit too much focus on me here. Can I get one more volley on this Bismarck? Oh, Hatsuharu pops up as well. But now you can see the detection number is climbing real fast, and 6 people are targeting me now. So that's when I realize, even though this DD is a very tempting target, I should not take the shot. And I just keep angling away, keep kiting away, and once again I use the excellent concealment, and I'm starting to disengage. However, it dropped down to 2 from 6 to 2, and 2 is a lot more manageable, so I see if I can maybe harass them a bit more. You kind of have to adjust yourself, or just adjust your concealment based on how many people are targeting you. That's of course why priority target is such a fantastic perk for all cruisers. Not just letting you know if one guy is targeting you, but letting you know when you have a lot of focus and it's time to take a break and just disengage. This Hatsuharu was emboldened, I guess, by the fact that I didn't shoot him earlier, but that's not going to last. I turn around, I wait for my reload, and of course I have another radar ready for him, and he realizes this quite late and starts turning away, and once again underleading. You see how badly I'm underleading there, and well, this is my first game in the New Orleans in a very long time, so I guess it can be excused, but it's something to keep in mind. Lead more than less in this ship. That volley was a lot better, 7 hits instead of 0 hits as earlier. Let's see if I can maybe get some fires or damage something on him. Unfortunately, only one hit on that. I guess got a bit dispersion trolled, and it looks like this guy is going to get away. He did shoot though, which was quite stupid, and I think if I chip him out a fair amount here, the Fubuki on the other side, once again only one hit though. The Fubuki could be gun him down though. That is, if our Fubuki understands to gun him down. It's a very common IGNDD syndrome to use torpedoes instead of guns and practically forget you have guns at all. And that's kind of because the low tier IGNDDs have such terrible guns, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be using them, especially against another IGNDD who also has similarly bad guns. I'm calling target on him. The Hatsuharu does shoot our Fubuki, but our Fubuki isn't shooting back. So I write in chat, shoot him Fubuki, question mark, why isn't he gunning him down? And it looks like there's finally some return fire going there. Colorado pushing up. Colorado is a pretty damn juicy prime target for any sort of HE spam. The thin superstructure armor and in general the thin topside armor means you tend to get a lot of penetrations, which is a lot of damage. It's also quite fat and slow, which makes it very easy to hit, and this combination of course makes it a very juicy target for any sort of HE spam, since not only do you get a lot of damage, you also tend to start a lot of fires. The Hatsuharu was chasing the Fubuki and he shoots me, and this is just straight up suicidal. I don't know what his plan is here. I should be able to kill him off here. 4 hits and a fire. He damage cons the fire and I should be able to kill him. Never mind, the Budionni finally chips in and decides to finish off the kill. Very classic. Chapaev pushing up, and Chapaev has better range and faster shell velocity. Of course I have very crippled range right now because I'm using the stock range mod right here, so my range is like 14 point something, so you can see he's barely within my firing range, but that's okay though because I'm kiting away, and as I've said before, kiting away is a huge advantage. Now normally I would never ever recommend using your repair on a single fire the way I did here, but the reason I did it was because I am angling away and I'm kiting, so the odds of him even landing shells is so very low that I feel I can get away with it. In general though, in cruiser versus cruiser fights, repairing the first fire is usually not a good idea, so you want to be real careful with that move. I'm gonna see if I can maybe surprise this guy soon. I forced his repair as well, and I got a fire on him, which has equalized the situation. And I did get undetected here briefly, and I do have a nice burning fire, which means he won't be able to get into stealth. This is a big deal, him not being able to get into stealth. Now I use Steven Seagal here to switch to AP, and I'm gonna see if I can surprise him with a sudden AP volley. As we've been exchanging HE this entire time, it might catch him by surprise, and it does in fact, and a double citadel and a nice 10k chunk on him. However, the battleships join the battle and another New Orleans joins the battle, so I start disengaging. You can see the entire fleet is actually pushing down this way and towards me, so it's a good time to disengage and flee. Then I chunk the New Orleans as well. He is angling away. I do get some nice AP hits on him. Chapaev is up again. More AP. Of course, you might see that the AP, you might see me get citadels and just plain, almost never any bounces in general. Against these cruisers, I'm just consistently penning, consistently citadeling. And that's of course the strength of the American cruisers. The AP is called super heavy, and it's fantastically strong. It pens from all sorts of angles, it does a ton of damage, it's just a very consistent, and of course the Des Moines is a monster at this, using AP against all targets and just melting them. But even at the New Orleans you start seeing this. Pensacola also has very good AP. Now angling away, the Chapaev does leave range, so I'm gonna focus on the Scharnhorst, low HP Scharnhorst. But the Scharnhorst, unlike the Colorado, isn't nearly as juicy of a tier 7 target, because you tend to get a lot more shatters against this guy. And it looks like he's sailing a bit strange, but you can see against the Colorado, where you would get 6-7 pens and maybe 1 or 2 shatters, it's pretty much the opposite against the Scharnhorst. Even though I'm trying to hit his superstructure, getting all these shatters all the time is a very common thing, and I'm starting to get a bit frustrated by how little damage I'm doing with this HE, so I switch to the mentioned AP, the very strong AP that is, once again 1 hit 4 shatters, and I switch to the AP and start punishing him with it instead, because it's a lot more consistent, especially when he gives broadside like this. and this applies to many different cruisers, but you can see we went from shatters to 4K AP volleys, so obviously a lot more consistent, a lot more damaging. Will I finally get a kill here? 2K, but someone, that's not my fire, is it? No, of course not, it's the Budyonny's fire. So Budyonny gets another kill. Let's see, can we hunt the Mayoko though? We still have AP loaded. The big advantage of the New Orleans compared to the Pensacola is of course the far superior turret positioning. The fact that you can have 6 turrets in the front. The Mayoko is turning, and as soon as he turns, we once again punish with AP. And you can do this against pretty much all cruisers. 13K, 14K volley, and I saw where he was sailing, so I kind of blind fire in the general direction he was sailing. And we managed to score another 9K hit on him, including another Citadel that broke his engine. So he is very much chunked at this point. The Mayoko is of course a very well armored cruiser, but just like the entire IGN cruiser line, if you give broadside, you have a very easy to hit Citadel, and the New Orleans is especially a ship that can take a lot of advantage of this because of the very consistent AP. Now I want to shoot him before he shoots me, and because of the way of the detection works, if you have spotting on the enemy before as you come around the corner like this, you are able to shoot him before he can even see you. So I use my radar to see him coming around this corner to get this advantage. I slow down because I want him to come around the corner, not me coming around the corner. Once again, the guy who comes around the corner first has the disadvantage. So with the help of my radar, I'm already lined up, and he pops around the corner, and as I mentioned, that Citadel is so very vulnerable, and I score 4 Citadels on him and finish him off. And finally, I get my first kill of this game. 137k damage, and not really that special, but then again, the New Orleans and in general, the New Orleans and Baltimore are neither exactly high damage cruisers. They are high impact cruisers because of their radar, and somewhat because of their anti-air and concealment, but they are not really the type of damage farmers that many other cruiser lines are. That does not mean they're bad, it just means that they serve a different purpose. 12 Citadels, only 1 kill sadly, but at least we got it done. Team score wise, 2.3k base XP, considering how short this game was and the fact that it was a standard battle, which means it's a lot harder to have a big impact and farm that kind of high XP in a radar cruise, especially the New Orleans. New Orleans shines in domination, where it can use those radars to deny caps and kill DDs. So being able to get that much is of course always rewarding. Detailed report wise, you can see once again how much of my damage is from that very strong AP. 66 AP, it's 90k damage, and that's not entirely uncommon, especially if you happen to have expert loader, especially if you have Steven Seagal with expert loader, so you can always have AP ready for the optimal situation. Then it is very useful. Potential damage almost 1 million, of that I only ate 12k, 12.5k, so fairly good dodging, and honestly, New Orleans gameplay comes a lot down to managing your concealment, using it to your advantage. Whenever you feel like, whenever you feel uncomfortable in a situation, you feel like, oh crap, I might eat a lot of damage here, it's better to just stop shooting. It takes 20 seconds since the last shot before your concealment kicks in, and you disappear from vision, and then you just reposition. So you kind of, in this cruiser you can really take advantage of that, because if you thought the Penza was stealthy, the New Orleans brings a whole new level to stealth. Credits and XP of course, and nice chunks since I'm running all the bonuses. Anyway, I already went over my captain build in the Pensacola commentary in terms of which way you want to upgrade the New Orleans. I recommend the path I chose, which is hull upgrade, a gun upgrade, range upgrade, and of course the same modules as on the Pensa. The only difference is that we add defensive AA duration and we add concealment as the tier 8 module. Anyway, that was all for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this short New Orleans commentary. I will be featuring additional New Orleans commentaries once I get my ship fully upgraded and I get a bit more experience in the ship. As you can see in the start especially, I was underleading my shells a fair amount, and that's of course something that I'll shrug off once I get used to the ship again. I will talk to you guys later. Have a great one.